Every day, millions of pennies pass through our hands, unnoticed, overlooked, and forgotten. But hidden among them are treasures that could change everything you thought you knew about your pocket change. Today, we're diving into the top 3 most useful U.S. Lincoln 1-cent coins, coins that collectors, investors, and treasure hunters dream about. The first coin on our list may look ordinary, but its rarity and historical significance make it a must-have for anyone serious about coins. The second coin? It's the kind of find that could make your jaw drop. Valuable, elusive, and hiding in plain sight in millions of wallets and jars across the country. And the third coin? The third coin is legendary, a true gem that few have ever held, let alone discovered, and it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. In this video, we'll explore their history, their hidden value, and why these pennies are not just coins, they're pieces of history that could make a huge impact on your collection. By the end, you'll never look at pennies the same way again, and you may even start digging through your old change to see what secrets lie waiting for you. The history of the Lincoln cent in 2001 flows out of a lineage that began in 1909, when the coin was first introduced to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. And by the time collectors reached the early years of the 21st century, the Lincoln cent had already become one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. And the 2001 issue represents a continuation of the memorial reverse era that began in 1959, when the wheat reverse was replaced with Frank Gasparo's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, a design chosen to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the original Lincoln cent, and to reflect modern American symbolism and architecture. And as the United States Mint carried the coinage program into 2001, the cent remained an essential part of American commerce, even though inflation had long eroded the purchasing power of 1 cent. Yet public demand and vending machine standards kept the coin in continuous production. The 2001 Lincoln cent was struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the Philadelphia coins carrying no mint mark and the Denver coins bearing the familiar D mint mark. Both facilities produced massive quantities as the nation continued to rely on billions of cents in circulation, and the plancher composition remained the copper-plated zinc alloy first introduced in 1982 with a 975% zinc core and a 25% copper, coating, a change originally made to reduce production costs when rising copper prices made the older bronze composition too expensive in 2001. This alloy was still the standard, and it defined the look and feel of all memorial cents of the period. Collectors note that the 2001 Lincoln cent continues the Victor David Brenner obverse portrait, which had become an American icon featuring Lincoln's right-facing bust that had remained virtually unchanged for nearly a century, preserving the strong historical continuity of the series. And while the design stayed consistent year after year, the dies themselves were renewed annually, which means subtle strike differences, luster variations, and minor imperfections can be seen under magnification, giving collectors points of interest for attribution and study. During 2001, the United States Mint was also modernizing many of its processes with improved die preparation methods, better quality control, and more efficient high-speed presses, all of which influenced the sharpness and consistency of the strikes found. On 2001 cents, though, circulation strikes typically show average detail due to mass production, die fatigue, and the nature of zinc planchets. The year also saw ongoing discussion among numismatists about whether the cent should remain in production at all, as many argued that the cost to make the coin was approaching or surpassing its face value, while others insisted that eliminating the cent would cause price rounding and public inconvenience, so the mint continued, striking billions of them. And this debate, which has resurfaced regularly throughout the decades, helps frame the 2001 coin as a representative of an era when the cent was both an indispensable yet controversial part of the monetary system among collectors. The 2001 Lincoln cent does not usually carry significant rarity, but high-grade mint state examples, especially from Denver, can show excellent brightness and copper brilliance, making them visually appealing, and certain die varieties, such as minor die cracks, die chips, and plating blisters, attract attention from specialists who enjoy cataloging small anomalies created during the striking process. The year 2001 also sits near the end of the memorial reverse period, which would conclude in 2008 before the transition to the four-part 2009 bicentennial series and the subsequent Union Shield reverse introduced in 2010. So the 2001 issue stands as one of the late memorial cents, produced in large numbers during a time when the mint had not yet begun its redesign campaign, and this gives the coin an identity closely tied to the familiar long-running series that generations of Americans carried in their pockets. School children saved in jars and hobbyists searched through in rolls for interesting varieties in a broader historical context. The Lincoln cent of 2001 reflects the economic environment of the United States at the time, including the growing role of electronic transactions, which had begun reducing the frequency of cash usage even before the digital age fully matured. But despite these shifts, the cent remained culturally embedded and widely circulated, making the 2001 issue an everyday artifact of American life, one that connected the past to the present through its enduring portrait of Lincoln and its place in the numismatic timeline. And by examining the 2001 cent, collectors gain insight not only into mint operations, but also into public habits, historical continuity, and the evolving conversations about the future of low-denomination coinage, all of which make the 2001 Lincoln cent far more than a simple copper-coated coin, as it represents a living thread running through more than a century of American monetary and cultural history. As the story of the 2001 Lincoln cent continues, it is important to understand how this coin reflects not just numismatics, but the technological, political, and cultural climate of the United States. At the start of the 21st century, the mint was undergoing steady modernization with computer-assisted engraving and improved planche preparation techniques, which influenced the consistency of the 2001 strikes. Although high-speed production always introduced some variation, especially on copper-plated zinc planches that were prone to plating bubbles and small fissures during the manufacturing process. These characteristics helped create the minor varieties that collectors hunt for in 2001. Rolls today, including small die cracks raised areas, near the date or mint mark, and other anomalies that tell the story of the dies used that year. The Lincoln cent of 2001 was also produced during a time when coinage demand fluctuated rapidly due to shifts in consumer behavior after the rise of debit cards, credit cards, and early online shopping, yet the cent remained widely needed for physical transactions, and businesses continued to request bulk quantities from the Federal Reserve, ensuring that both the Philadelphia and Denver mints ran at high capacity for significant portions of the year. The mint also released annual reports that discussed cost structures, metal prices, and production efficiency, which helps modern collectors understand why the copper-plated zinc composition stayed in place through 2001. Even though many argued for the return to the more traditional bronze alloy, or for eliminating the cent entirely, the cost to produce the coin hovered near the face value and occasionally exceeded it, sparking debate that still continues today about whether the cent should be retired. But in 2001, the coin still represented an essential anchor in pricing and economic psychology, and many Americans viewed the cent as a symbol of thrift savings and everyday commerce. The numismatic community in 2001 was also significantly influenced by the rise of the Internet, which began transforming how collectors bought, sold, traded, and researched coins online. Auction platforms expanded collector markets and allowed people to acquire high-grade 2001 Lincoln cents, certified by leading grading services without needing to attend in-person shows. This shift changed the distribution of new coinage, as collectors were more informed about population reports, strike quality trends, and production totals than ever before, and it resulted in heightened interest in searching 2001 rolls for potential mint state gems, especially from Denver, which was known for producing some of the higher luster coins that year. The historical arc of the Lincoln cent also plays a key role, as the 2001 issue stands just 8 years before the massive redesign effort that would begin in 2009, when the United States honored the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent itself by offering 4 commemorative reverse designs representing Lincoln's early life, his formative years, his professional rise, and his presidency. Collectors looking back at 2001 see it as part of the final era of the long-running memorial reverse, which itself first appeared in 1959, replacing the famous wheat ears reverse of 1909 to 1958 and celebrating the Lincoln Memorial as a national icon. The memorial design was in use for nearly half a century, and coins from 2001 represent its mature phase, where die engraving techniques had become refined enough that even circulation strikes often show clear lines of the memorial steps, Lincoln's seated statue, and sharply outlined inscriptions. Another key aspect of the 2001 Lincoln cent is the role it played in coin collecting habits of the early 21st century, as many collectors, particularly younger hobbyists, actively searched through pocket change and bank rolls for red, uncirculated examples and minor die varieties. During this period, many educational coin programs promoted the Lincoln cent as an entry point into the hobby because of its affordability, long history, and wide availability. The story of the 2002 Lincoln cent begins with the long legacy of the Lincoln cent series, which first appeared in 1909 as a tribute to Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, became one of the most familiar images in American coinage history, and by the time 2002 arrived, the coin had already been in circulation for more than 90 years, carrying with it the evolving story of American minting technology, political change, and economic adjustment. Through the decades, the Lincoln cent had undergone subtle transformations, including modifications to Brenner's initials, updates to the relief, and changes in its composition as economic realities shifted. In 1982, the United States Mint made one of the most significant changes in the history of the Lincoln cent by moving from a bronze alloy to a copper-plated zinc planchet. This shift continued through the year 2002, so every 2002 Lincoln cent was struck on a core of zinc coated, with a thin layer of copper giving the coin the appearance of traditional copper while dramatically reducing production costs. By the early 2000s, the cent had already become one of the United States Mint's most frequently produced denominations, and the Mint used increasingly modern coinage presses and high-speed quality control procedures to create the billions of Lincoln cents needed for daily commerce across the nation. The year 2002 sits at an interesting moment in the series. It was part of the long-running memorial reverse era, which had begun in 1959 in honor of the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial stood on the reverse of the coin for 50 years, and the 2002 issue represents one of the final chapters in that half-century run. Before the redesign of 2010 and before the 2009 bicentennial reverses, the 2002 coin continues the familiar appearance of Lincoln on the obverse and the memorial on the reverse, connecting the coin to a long era of stability in American numismatics. The obverse portrait, crafted from Brenner's original design, shows Lincoln facing right with careful detailing of his hair, cheekbones, and beard. Although the design traces back to 1909, it has been subtly sharpened or adjusted through various hub changes over the decades, yet its essence has remained remarkably faithful to Brenner's artistic vision. The inscriptions include the national motto, the date 2002, and the mint mark for the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco mints. Each mint played a role in producing the 2002 coins, with Philadelphia and Denver striking circulation pieces, while San Francisco struck the proof coins for collectors using polished dies and specially prepared planchets to create sharp mirrored surfaces and frosted devices. The reverse of the coin in 2002 continues Gasparo's monument-inspired artwork, which highlights the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design is notable because the tiny statue of Lincoln visible between the central pillars is one of the smallest and most detailed depictions of a person ever placed on circulating American coinage. The reverse inscriptions include United States of America, E pluribus unum, and the denomination 1 cent. The memorial design served as a national symbol on billions of coins for generations of Americans, and by 2002 it had become deeply familiar to collectors and everyday users alike. In 2002, the Mint produced the Lincoln cent, during a time when discussions about discontinuing the cent were beginning to gain public attention. Rising production costs, inflation, and the ever-growing number of cents minted each year fueled debates among economists and lawmakers. Yet despite these discussions, the demand for the coin remained high, and billions of 2002 cents entered circulation, making the date one of the more common issues of the early 21st century. Even so, collectors pay attention to subtle variations, including die states, strike strength, and the overall quality of individual coins. Some 2002 cents show strong strikes with crisp details, while others reveal softer impressions resulting from die wear or high production rates. The proof cents of 2002 are especially valued for their beauty and craftsmanship. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, these coins feature deep reflective fields and sharp frosted images created through a special minting process that involves multiple strikes under carefully controlled pressure. The quality of the proof sets of the early 2000s is widely regarded as excellent, and many collectors consider the 2002 proof Lincoln cent an essential part of a modern collection representing both the artistry and precision of the Mint's craftsmanship during this period. Another point of interest in the story of the 2002 Lincoln cent is its place within a rapidly changing world of minting technology. By this time, the Mint had fully integrated advanced computer engraving tools, high-speed die-making systems, and improved quality control methods, allowing for more consistent coinage than ever before. This era marks a shift between traditional engraving techniques and the modern digital age of numismatic production, making the 2002 cent part of a transitional moment in coin design and manufacturing history. The economic context of 2002 also influenced the coin's production. The United States was emerging from the late 1990s economic boom and adjusting to the early 2000s recession, but the demand for circulating coinage remained steady. The cent continued to play a central role in everyday transactions, even as electronic payments grew more common. Its wide use in retail cash transactions, vending machines, and banking systems ensured that billions of new cents, including those dated 2002, were needed to maintain an adequate supply for commerce. Collectors today view the 2002 Lincoln cent as a modern yet historically significant piece. It sits just 7 years before the end of the memorial reverse design and represents a stable, calm period in the series, before the cent underwent dramatic changes beginning with the 2009 bicentennial program. The 2002 issue holds a place in the continuous timeline of the Lincoln cent, reflecting the Mint's ongoing tradition of honoring Abraham Lincoln while also adapting to new technology, new economic conditions, and changing national conversations about the future of coinage. As a whole, the 2002 Lincoln cent embodies the durability of Brenner's and Gasparo's designs, the evolution of minting methods, and the lasting importance of the cent in American culture and commerce. The story of this coin is not only the story of a single year, but also the reflection of nearly a century of artistic heritage and the movement of the United States Mint toward a new era of innovative production techniques, making the 2002 Lincoln cent a meaningful chapter in the long and ever-unfolding history of America's most familiar coin. The 2002 Lincoln cent also deserves attention for the way it reflects the Mint's philosophy during the early 21st century, as the nation prepared for major coinage changes that would arrive later in the decade. During this time, the mint focused heavily on efficiency and consistency while still preserving the long-standing artistic traditions that collectors valued. The 2002 cent therefore becomes part of a bridge between the classic era of American coins and the modern digital era in which computer modeling and laser engraving would soon reshape the way dies were made and designs were refined. One of the lesser-known aspects of the 2002 Lincoln cent story involves the preparation of the dies themselves before a die could strike. A single 2002 cent, it went through a detailed creation process beginning with a master hub engraved from digital data derived from earlier models. This master hub produced working hubs which then created thousands of individual dies needed for mass production. By this period, the mint relied on improved digital scanning and reduction techniques to ensure greater uniformity in the design, so a 2002 cent struck in Denver matched almost perfectly with one from Philadelphia. This marked a major advancement when compared to earlier decades like the 1940s or 1950s, when die production was more manual and inconsistencies were more common. An interesting chapter in the history of any modern Lincoln cent involves error coins and varieties. Even though the 2002 Lincoln cent is considered a high-quality mass-produced issue, the sheer quantity of coins struck meant that some errors naturally occurred. The story of the 2003 Lincoln cent begins long before the coin itself was ever struck, because understanding this coin requires stepping back more than a century into the evolution of American small-denomination currency. The Lincoln cent series introduced in 1909 had already become one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history, and by the time 2003 arrived, the coin was not only a circulating piece of currency, but a cultural symbol representing history patriotism and familiarity for generations of Americans. When the 2003 cent entered production, the United States Mint was already accustomed to producing billions of Lincoln cents each year, and the coin continued to be one of the most used denominations in the country. The design created by Victor David Brenner continued almost unchanged on the obverse, featuring the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, which had been originally modeled from a plaque Brenner created decades earlier. The 2003 cent carried this same portrait, emphasizing tradition continuity and the Mint's long-standing dedication to honoring significant historical figures. The reverse design, known as the wheat ears design, originally ended in 1958 and was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959, which continued through 2008. Therefore, the 2003 cent shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., symbolizing unity, national pride, and the lasting legacy of one of America's most influential presidents. The minting process in 2003 used the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982. The outer layer of copper gave the coin its classic reddish appearance, while the zinc core made the coin cheaper to produce. This cost-saving measure had been necessary because the rising price of copper in the early 1980s made the older copper alloy too expensive to continue producing. By 2003, the copper-plated zinc planchet was the standard, and the Mint had fully perfected its production process. The Philadelphia and Denver Mints produced the majority of 2003 cents, with the San Francisco Mint creating the proof strikes for collectors. Philadelphia pieces carried no mint mark, while Denver struck coins with the D mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins with the S mint mark. Billions of coins were made between the mints, which meant that the 2003 cent was extremely common in circulation. Nevertheless, collectors often seek out high-grade business strikes and deeply cameo-proof examples that showcase flawless surfaces and sharp details. The appearance of the 2003 cent is typical of the Lincoln Memorial era. The obverse shows Lincoln facing right with the word "Liberty" to the left, and the date 2003 to the right. Along the top arc appears the motto, "In God We Trust." The reverse continues Henry Herring's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959. This design was notable because it subtly included a tiny representation of the seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, visible under magnification. This detail made the coin unique as one of the first circulating American coins to depict the same person on both sides, although the reverse depiction is extremely small. For history enthusiasts, the 2003 cent also represents the final years before a significant transformation in the Lincoln series. Just 6 years later, in 2009, the Mint introduced 4 special bicentennial designs celebrating the 200th birthday of Abraham Lincoln and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. Then in 2010, the reverse changed again to the Union Shield design, marking a new era. The 2003 cent therefore sits near the end of the long-running Lincoln Memorial era, which lasted half a century from 1959 to 2008. Economically, the Lincoln cent in 2003 remained widely used. Although debates about eliminating the penny had already begun, politicians, economists, and citizens were discussing whether the rising cost of producing the cent outweighed its usefulness. These discussions were partly fueled by the Mint's own cost reports, showing that production of the cent sometimes approached or exceeded its face value. Although the government continued producing the coin, the question added historical context to the 2003 issue as part of an ongoing national debate. In the collector world, people often search for varieties and errors from this year. Some examples include off-center strikes, broad strikes, doubled dies, improperly plated planchets, and die cracks. Although no major nationally recognized variety exists for the 2003 cent, the year still provides opportunities for collectors, especially those who enjoy searching through rolls and change. The historical value of the 2003 Lincoln cent lies not in rarity, but in representation. It is a snapshot of American numismatics in the early 21st century, a period in which the Mint was producing modern coins with advanced technology, but still preserving classical themes. It symbolizes the balance between tradition and technological evolution that defines much of modern U.S. coinage. When discussing the broader timeline, the 2003 Lincoln cent connects to the long history of small denomination coins in the United States. Pennies have existed since the late 1700s, evolving through various designs, such as the flowing hair, cent-draped bust, cent, classic, head cent, matron head cent, braided hair cent, flying eagle cent, and Indian head cent. Each of these served as a stepping stone leading up to the Lincoln cent, and each reflects different periods of American culture, economy, and art. The Lincoln cent, introduced in 1909, marked a major shift because it became the first regular issue coin to feature a real historical person, and its release celebrated the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The fact that this design lasted more than a century shows its powerful impact. By 2003, the Lincoln cent had become so familiar that many Americans handled it daily without noticing its design details. Yet for numismatists, the year 2003 sits within an era defined by mass production and modern techniques. The Mint had adopted highly advanced machinery, laser-enhanced hubbing, and refined quality control processes, ensuring that most coins struck were sharply detailed and consistent in appearance. Another important context for the 2003 cent comes from the proof sets of that year. Collector demand for proof coins remained strong, and the 2003 S-proof cents are known for their brilliant mirrored fields and frosted devices. This visual contrast, known as cameo and deep cameo, is highly prized by collectors. Proof coins undergo a special polishing and striking process using carefully prepared dies and planchets. This produces a crisp, refined appearance, dramatically different from the regular circulation strikes. The 2003 cent also reflects changing national sentiments and the cultural importance of Lincoln imagery. Lincoln has long represented ideals such as equality, unity, and perseverance. The continued use of his portrait on the cent reaffirmed these values even in modern times. Additionally, the reverse depiction of the Lincoln Memorial reinforced the concept of national remembrance and respect for American heritage. From a historical viewpoint, the 2003 cent exists in a stable period of American coinage where few dramatic design changes were happening.